Before I start, I really want to know what do you think of when you think of Baghdad or Iraq, or maybe it's all kind of the same to you. I will try to focus on Baghdad, but sometimes I will diverge into Iraq without even thinking about it because sometimes things are connected in that way. And sometimes they're not. Sometimes Baghdad is a totally different thing than the rest of Iraq. But yeah, just what comes to mind when you think of Baghdad or Iraq? Um, it's really okay if you don't know or like you're shy to say or you want to say but it sounds stupid. Like just say whatever you want, and we will learn about Iraq as we or Baghdad as we go forward. Yeah, go ahead, Mary.
So I'm one of those stupid people who don't know anything, um, and I get Iran and Iraq mixed up, and I really don't know anything about the area at all except horrible things on the news. So I thought that I'd come to this because it sounded more cultural and more about the real people, which I'd like to know more about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm really glad you said that. Yeah, of course, there are differences between Iran and Iraq, but surprisingly, sometimes there are not differences. So, yeah, but actually, I'm really glad you know nothing because that means I can teach more basically, and if I get things wrong, you won't even know. So, great. Um, how about, yeah, go ahead, Alexandra.
Well, I think of it as having a very ancient history because it was a major city um, back in the time when Mesopotamia, I don't know if it existed at the time when Mesopotamia became the birthplace of civilization, though I understand people think the birthplace of civilization was in a number of places. But anyhow, and then also, when I think of it today, I think of a lot of gray concrete buildings with not very many trees and not much vegetation, very dry, hot, and deserty. With I think of it as being very overcrowded and having not a political system which is possibly somewhat recovered from all the conflict during the Iraq War.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, okay. So I think that's very normal to think in this way, and a lot of it is not wrong, and we will see as I teach uh, like about the history, about what it looks like. I as Mary was saying before, like she's interested in the cultures and peoples, and I really want to focus on that a lot. And through that, you will also see the city and what it looks like. Um, but not a bad description, actually. From what I saw, it's somewhat similar to Los Angeles, which is where I'm from and where you are as well. Especially with the dependency on cars and city buildings. Los Angeles also doesn't have so many trees, but there are a lot of spaces where there are trees, and Baghdad is like that, but not as many trees, I would say. But yeah, so maybe you have a good concept of what it looks like in modern times.
And I also
Uh,
want to mention that Rosalind is here. We haven't
yes,
said hello
Rosalind
to
is
her.
here, and actually, I'm going to admit now her sister. Rosalind is my wife, so she will join, or she are also already joined.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. And by the way, I cannot see you all. The Zoom style, I only see five people right now. So I'm sure there's more. And if you want to say something, maybe if you raise your hand, like an icon will appear on my screen. So if you can figure out how to raise your hand, or if you want, you can just talk. You can just start talking, and then you'll appear. Don't be afraid to interrupt me, especially, but you can also kind of like interrupt someone else a little bit, like in a polite way. That way I can see you and know that you're waiting. Yeah, go ahead, Tatiana.
When I think about Iraq, I'm thinking about Alexander the Great and the Babylon.
Mm.
Yes, yes. I will talk about that almost as the very first thing about Babylon. So yeah, exactly. Really cool.
Zachariah, I want to say that
Yeah.
if you can put it, I have my screen on gallery mode, and if
Hmm.
you, on the upper right-hand corner of your screen, there's 9 dots in form a cube. If you click on that,
Oh, I
you can
see.
change to gallery mode, and then you
Yeah,
can
thank
see
you.
everyone. You can see
That's ex
everyone.
I'll do that for now, but in the future, I will be showing my screen more, so I won't be able to see you all. But yeah,
Mm,
for now, this is a great idea. Yeah.
okay.
Who else is here? By the way, welcome Rosalind and Sabah.
Hello, everyone.
And صباح هيك تدهوزي تدكوني بكردي أو عربي ديندكن وروزلين دكوني أوجي من دكاري ترجمانده.
مهم.
Yeah,
تمام.
بس إنجليزي تارنده.
قريت بس أسفل فهمناكم.
تمام. Yeah. So I was telling Sabah if she wants, she can speak in Kurdish or Arabic, and my wife Rosalind can translate to English. But I'm so happy you're here, Sabah. It's really cool. And
I
I'm
just want to say something.
yeah, go ahead.
So I'm happy to be here and seeing everyone here at this meeting. And I'm also very happy to see Mom Alex and excited for your lecture today.
Thank you so much. Yes. And let's see. I see also someone else from my Kurdish class, Kanal.
Uh, I think you talking about me. I think.
Yes, yes.
Hi, everyone. Yeah,
Oh,
great to be
what
with you.
what is your name?
My real name Siddiq, but
Sadok. Got it.
it's a hard name a little bit. So that I use the Zana.
Azanar. Okay.
You can call me Zana. Yeah.
Okay, great. Great.
Yeah.
Great. All right, really nice. And would anyone else like to say what they think of when they think of Iraq? Like before we start, I really want to know before we start, before I start showing you stuff.
This is David Ballard. Like I said, I'm outside of Philadelphia, and for some reason my video and the indicators of whether or not my mute is on or off are not showing up. So I'm for
I
some
can hear
reason
you
flying
loud and
blind
clear.
on Zoom. Okay,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'll try to turn it off after I'm
No,
done
no,
talking.
it's all good. Yeah.
My partner is an art historian. She does Byzantine and Armenian, and her first book was about Gagik, the king of Armenia, between like 980 and 1020, and Armenia was interesting in that time because it was sort of between Byzantium and the Abbasid Caliphate. So
Hmm.
they had a lot of diplomatic interactions with Baghdad at the time, and a lot of what I know about Baghdad, which is not a lot, has to do with sort of the complexities of those diplomatic interactions, and the ways in which the caliphate would try to make the politics seem very complicated and arcane as they interacted with other regions and countries.
Yeah, yeah,
And of
absolutely.
course, at the time, it was a very vast and fascinating city as well. So I'm curious to learn more.
Yeah, you're talking about the golden age of Baghdad when
Right.
everything was, at least looking back like 1,000 years back, everything was beautiful and poetry and things like this. Yeah, yeah, that's a really great time for Baghdad. What about now? What do you think of when you think of Baghdad now?
Well, of course, I'm aware of the horrors of the the past 25, 30 years, and the difficulties post World War II, as it became a battleground for oil exploration and the Hussein dictatorship. Um, so I guess my impression now is that it's been uh, a vibrant city in a very troubled region.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Yeah,
You know,
sometimes some things are vibrant. Yeah. Yeah, it's a really, I would say, very interesting city. Whether it's going through hard times or good times, there's always something interesting going on in the city.
yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. Would anyone else like to say what they think of when they think of Baghdad or what they know about Baghdad before we begin? All right. So now, Dale, would you like to say something?
No, I just was joining again, but
Ah, okay.
as far as talking about Baghdad, I do get Baghdad mixed up with other cities, great cities of antiquity. But I did really want to say that there's just such an interesting history there, knowing that it had seen a lot of strife over the years with somebody mentioned Alexander the Great. I think didn't Genghis Khan sweep over in the 1200s?
The Mongols did. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Mongols. So, there's just so many interesting influences that, the people from the Middle East that I know, like one good friend from Syria, for example, there's so much history I have just no idea of, and that's why I'm just curious to join. Also,
Yeah.
from Santa Monica, so fellow Los Angeles native here.
Oh, yeah, I went to Santa Monica Community College a
No
million years ago.
way. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Okay, great. And speaking of university, speaking of college, the way that I learned about the Middle East was just like the history. Basically, like kings, and then there was this king, and then it became this king, and this caliphate, and this, and it all kind of blurred. And by the end, maybe a month later, after the final exam, I didn't know anything anymore. I just knew there used to be a bunch of kings in some region, and yeah, like so I tr will try not to teach this way, but because this is how I'm used to being in university, and I might slip into that a bit, but I'm going to really try to diverge from that. I will definitely teach the history, but also I want to like do additional things to give you a better picture. So I want to now do something with technology. So let's see if it'll work. I want to share my screen, and let's see if this will work to share. So now maybe you're all seeing yourselves. I don't know. But let's just start off with a really simple test here. Okay, so can everyone see this here?
Yes.
What do you see?
Yes.
Yes, I see.
Of a church.
Church.
Okay, okay. This is working. This is working so far. Now let's graduate to video. Let's see if video works. So, uh, da, 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 da. Okay, let's try this video here. Okay. I want to know if you can, not yet, it hasn't loaded yet, but I want to know when it loads if you can hear the video or not. Aha. Okay, can you hear the video?
No.
Oh,
I
that's
can
not good.
I can see it, but not hear it.
Oh, that's really too bad. Okay, so I think that's the limit of this. Um, Let me play it for like 10 more seconds just to see, to make sure.
Is the volume on max? Maybe you can adjust the volume.
No, no, it's super loud. So I think there's a problem because it's using my microphone and it can't use the microphone and computer at the same time. So I guess no videos, but that shouldn't be a problem too much. Um, what I do want to show you, maybe I can just narrate the video as I show you.
Yeah. Yeah,
So I will
that'd be
play
great.
this. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, but I can't hear you. Okay, let's try this. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, okay. Okay, so I think this is how we'll do it. So what this is what Baghdad, maybe I can make this a little bigger for everyone. This is what Baghdad looked like in the 1950s, according to the YouTube video. and it's in color, which is nice. So this is kind of, I think, what a lot of people imagine Baghdad before it became modernized and there was all these wars and problems and things. This is like maybe even what people imagined, not this, but before what people imagined when they imagined the Middle East in general. Um, and I just wanted to show some scenes. So this is like the idealized Baghdad of the 1950s. It certainly wasn't like this for everyone. It was like this for these guys here. But there was this sort of idea, like maybe hope that this was a new country at the time. Baghdad is a very new country compared to most countries. And there was kind of like this idea that it could be now it's independent. This is right after World War II. It's become its own thing. And this is what what the ancient Middle East will become as a modern, maybe you could say a modern Western country is this. So this is what people were hoping for, I think. Um, and at the same time, you have like the old traditional stuff like horse racing, very, very important cultural thing for the Middle East in general, but definitely for Baghdad. There's this great, yeah, this, so you can see he has his binoculars, but he has this little, I don't know what you call it, talisman or something. You'll see this all the time, like in cars, in over doorways, like this kind of stuff in Baghdadi culture, in Middle Eastern culture in general. But really, like this is a thing, and I love how he put it on his binoculars. Like his binoculars are very special, and he has this like talisman for them. So this is kind of the idealized Baghdad. I want to show you what it looks like now. And just so you know, I've been to Baghdad. I went to Baghdad in 2022. Yeah, 2022. And so I looked at these videos to see which ones were kind of my experience of Baghdad. Actually, before that, I want to show you one more idealized version of Baghdad so you can get an idea of what a really nice version of Baghdad looks like. So this is Baghdad now. These are like drone videos here. Um, when I went to Baghdad, it wasn't this. So here, Alexandra was talking about the trees. So yeah, you get some trees, but this is only the special trees section of the city. Most of it is pretty dusty, I would say is the best word. Dusty with the pollution or um, lots of like stone and bricks and things like that. A lot of cement. So this is the Baghdad that I saw when I went to Baghdad. Um, but there was more traffic. There was a lot more traffic than this for sure. And this here is the Tigris River, which is, I'm sure if any of you remember any part of Middle Eastern history, there's the Tigris and Euphrates. So the river that is in Baghdad is the Tigris River. And you can see here by the way, can you see my mouse if I move my mouse?
Yeah, we see.
Okay, good. Yeah. So here you see solar panels, and this is a really big deal in countries or cities like Baghdad because the electricity turns off a lot. So you can't trust the government or the infrastructure for electricity, but you can trust if you have solar panels, you can get electricity this way. So you'll see this a lot, including in Baghdad. I also lived in Lebanon, and that solar panels were like essential in Lebanon. And yeah, I love this scene because here we have like they're almost like copying a maybe Armenian or some kind of this Middle Eastern style church here, and they make it. It might be a church. You can see the Christian stuff. I actually, with the painting, I thought it was some kind of like playground kind of thing because they do that also. But I think this is actually a church. And the more you look at this picture, the more you can see kind of the duality of Baghdad. You have this probably very old church here, and then you have these modern buildings all over the place, and they're just kind of not exactly in the same style. They're like it has this effect of it looks kind of messy. It's kind of messy everywhere. And then with the church, you have this really strong cement wall, and you will see that kind of stuff a lot in Baghdad because security is really, really important. And then if you look over here, you'll see a lot of trash. This is all trash in the alleyway. And yeah, this is also very common. So you have this duality. You have this really nice, clean church area. You have the modern apartment buildings. You have the old, I wouldn't say broken, but like much older buildings here. You have like trash here. So yeah, this is a very normal depiction of Baghdad. This is a very famous square, I think you could call it. Here you can see the traffic a little bit more. Oh, no, actually, this is some protests that were happening in 2019. They protested against the government. It was a very, very big deal in all of Iraq, but of course, the center of it was Baghdad. And yeah, this building in particular was very important for the protests. And I think the protests wound up creating something good. They were tired of the corruption. They were tired of the old problems that happened after the war and ISIS and all of this stuff. And ever since these protests, things became better in Iraq in general. So yeah, we'll talk about this later too. And yeah, this is like Iraq. When we talk about Iraq, we talk about it as if it's like this overview. But what we're not seeing is the people. We're not seeing the culture. We're not seeing the food or what it's like to actually live there. And that's something I want to show you right now. Does anyone have any questions or comments or anything?
Can you
How
swim in
long?
the river?
No, that would be a bad idea. The river is strong, but it's also really polluted. Uh, there's something I maybe people do swim in the river, but not like normal people, not like going to the beach or something like that. Um, the people fish in the river a lot, but in these kind of places, swimming in the river, it's just so polluted. You wouldn't want to do that unless you're a native and you just do have done it since you were a child or something.
I didn't quite catch when you were there and how long you stayed.
So I was there in 2022.
Okay.
I stayed not so long, a few days.
Okay.
At the time, and probably still now, it's, but even before, like at that time, it was, I didn't want to stay for very long. I didn't want anyone to know I was there and then
Mm.
come find me. So, uh, I don't remember exactly. I would say less than a week though, for sure. Yeah, yeah.
Perhaps
Uh,
we can leave this for the end because it's a big topic, but I would like to know a little more about the waste management culture, both at the family level and at the big urban center level. Thank you.
sorry, the waste management.
Yeah, that's right. Waste
Yeah,
management.
that's really, really important topic and is not something I know anything about, to be honest. So I don't want to make things up, but I'm really glad you asked that. Uh, I will just say that it when I was there, what I saw was there was not very much of that management. It's the second most populated city in the Middle East, and they just don't have like you have checkpoints and you have areas that you couldn't go to as one religion or the other religion or one ethnicity or the other ethnicity. So that makes it difficult to just be able to have some central point of waste management for like a dump or something like that. Um, and also in these kind of countries in general, it's just more common just to throw things on the ground or whatever. Like just get it out of here, get it out of your area, and then never think about it again. So there is a lot more pollution and a lot more trash, a lot of like plastic bags just flying everywhere. This was my experience, where when it comes to the actual implementation of waste management, I don't know anything about this.
Can
Um,
I
Miss
can I ask a
Jackery.
follow-up question on that?
yeah, sure. Yeah.
Thank you. Are there perceptible differences between groups in relation to waste management, say Christians or Zoroastrians or Muslims?
From what I saw, no, not really. For that, there are
Mhm.
differences in culture and things like this, but Iraqi people and Baghdad included are actually very, very clean. I don't want to give a perception that they're dirty, but when it comes to throwing trash in a trash can, then this is this is something different. And this will be true for every group, I think. They will all like if there is a trash can, sure, maybe they'll throw it in the trash, but maybe not. And there's probably not a trash can somewhere. So but if you go to like a restaurant, for example, you go to someone's house, it's going to be cleaner than your house, probably. And the restaurant is going to be cleaner than a restaurant in Germany or than in America. People are really, really, really clean to the point where it's detrimental to the water management of the city because they're always watering in front of their business or in front of their house. They're always putting water to take away the dust and to take away the trash as well. So this uses a lot of water to do that, and especially in the summer, people are always like putting water on the ground, whether it's water from a bucket or from a hose. And this is because uh, Muslims in general, but also especially in Iraq and places like Turkey too, people are just really, really clean about their own like personal space. But then, ironically, when it comes to the city is more polluted, and the city like doesn't have as much waste management, for example.
Coincidentally, I read some time ago about a project that's starting up in Baghdad about converting waste to energy, through incineration and whatnot. It's being, I think, being led by a Chinese group. So,
Yeah,
I mean, that's an example of uh, combining waste management with energy production
yeah,
to kind of,
yeah.
perhaps create some kind of beneficial loop.
Yeah, that could definitely be a thing for sure. Like every time I go to any of these countries, especially in Iraq, any of these cities, especially in Iraq, it's just a totally different city than it was before. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're now trying to upgrade their city to have like more modern facilities. So yeah, this is definitely possible. I see, Bruce, you have your hand raised.
Yes, can you hear me, please?
Sorry, Bruce, I can't hear you.
You cannot hear me?
I can hear him.
Okay, maybe Alex, you can say what he's saying.
Okay.
Oh, yes, like, I have written the question in the chat in any way. First, was it safe for Zachary to be in Baghdad as American? And how can he compare Baghdad from one side and Erbil and Suleimania, the two major Kurdish cities in Kurdistan, Iraq? So yeah, there was like it's like my two questions to him.
Sure, yeah, I heard too. So, yeah, when I was there, this is not now. Now it might be safer. Now I'm almost certain it's safer. Because when I search on YouTube, I see travelers walking alone, a lot of like YouTubers, things like that. But when I was there, it was a weird time too. It was like still Corona time. It was right after ISIS. Mosul had just been liberated maybe a year or two before from ISIS. So things were good, but it was the first time they were good. So like no one knew if things were okay, not okay. There were probably a lot more checkpoints in Baghdad than there are now, which might have created a lot more traffic and things like that. So when I went because I could see it was a safe time. And if you like to go to Iraq or the Middle East, when it's a safe time, you should go in that time because it's not always going to be a safe time to go. So I saw, okay, this is a good time to go, and I didn't have a job at that moment, and okay, I went. I had no money at all, maybe 100 euro total or something really crazy. But Middle Eastern people are very hospitable, and I just relied on their hospitality to to do things basically. And I just mostly only paid for taxis. And then I went home when I had no money. So yeah, so I was sort of safe, but I made sure to always be with native people, native Baghdadis. This was my if I was with native Baghdadis, then they knew what was safe and what wasn't safe. And also I've traveled a lot, so I have like an intuition of what is okay and what is not. But Baghdad was just right on the edge. Like I don't know the next time I'll come back, but when I left, I thought that was really cool, and I don't know if I'll come back again for the foreseeable future because it's just such a crazy place, and there's not really it didn't feel like there was the security that was needed to have a really stable area, but at the same time, things were stable. It just felt like not all the way. And since I left, some people have been kidnapped in Baghdad, but doing crazier stuff than me, like researching ISIS or living in Baghdad, like as an English teacher or something. But yeah, it wasn't like I felt safe in that time that I was there, and when I didn't, I left, and that was as simple as that. Compared to other cities, Baghdad is its own thing. I couldn't compare it to any other city in Iraq, including Mosul, which is also a more like Iraqi state-controlled city, because I don't know, it's like its own thing. You'll see. I'll show you a little bit more. I felt 100% completely safe. Like it was, if you go to Iraqi Kurdistan, it's almost like going to a Western country, like a European country. Baghdad is not at all. Baghdad is you're in the Middle East for sure when you're in Baghdad. But Iraqi Kurdistan, like you could walk down the street at 3 in the morning holding $100 bill and your American passport in the other hand, and no one's going to even dream of stealing these things from you because it's just so safe. When I went to Baghdad, I never said I was American. I accepted the passport control or like the checkpoints also. Um, I have a German ID also, so I always said I was German, and I didn't feel so good saying I was American because not because people hate Americans in Baghdad, but maybe there's like one guy that does, and or maybe word gets around there's an American staying. But if word gets around there's a German staying somewhere, it's not as interesting. So yeah, I thought posing as a German was better in Baghdad. And then once I went to Iraqi Kurdistan, I became American again. So this was what I did. Okay, so I'm looking at the time. Wow, the time is going by so fast. I was worried I wouldn't have so much to like, I would run out of time or something, or I'd be too little time. But wow, the time is going. I really want to show you a little more of these videos so that you can see what Baghdad actually looks like. The nice thing about these YouTuber videos is they show like a preview first. So in this preview, we can see. So here we have the food in Baghdad. And food in Iraq is really, really, really amazing. And Baghdad is one level higher than that. Like, okay, Iraqi Kurdistan, I love it, but Baghdadi food is better. And same with Mosul too. Mosul is the best food ever. But yeah, you can see a little bit like the people, the style of food. These are desserts here. I'm sure I'm making some of you really hungry who are familiar with this kind of food. By the way, I want to go back a little bit. I wanted to show you. So all of this food is really common in Baghdad, and it's a really common way to eat on the street like this. This is bread. If you want bread in Baghdad, it looks like this, and it's really delicious. You can do anything with it, but usually what people will do is just imagine it as a piece of paper, and you have the food as little pieces. You saw it in the video, like the food is kind of like lots of little pieces of things. And then you take the bread and you make like almost like tiny sandwiches and you eat it like this with the bread. And this is a very normal way to eat. You can have a knife and fork as well, especially a spoon for like soup and things like that. But yeah, just imagine you're taking the bread and with all this stuff, you eat it with the bread. But yeah, this is what it looks like. If you want to eat in Baghdad, it's going to be like this. Yeah, like this. this right here. And you can eat alone. It's like normal, I guess, but it's really, really common to eat like this. Like you all sit together and you talk and you eat. And it might not be like so polite to talk and eat, but you do it anyway. But your hands are clean when you eat with your hands, and the restaurant is clean and the food is clean. Like you can really trust the food in Baghdad to be clean, to not be bad, to not go bad. Like they really care about that kind of stuff, even if it's on the street. Like I wouldn't want to eat street food in some city I don't know in America or in Germany, but street food in Baghdad, like I would trust it very much.
Is
So yeah.
seeing the live chickens, is that is that a common scene?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's not.
Can't get fresher than that, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Fish, chickens. I don't know. I don't think I really ate so much meat, in Baghdad. But yeah, probably there's also even like goats and sheep and stuff like that. If you're really rich, you can get a goat, but or sheep. And of course, there's also normal food, normal for us, like beef and stuff like that. But yeah, for sure. Yeah, chickens, anything you can imagine that's halal, that's not like Muslims have something very similar to kosher. Jews have kosher and Muslims have halal, and they're almost the same thing, basically. As long as it's halal, they're gonna make it in a delicious way in Baghdad. There's one more link I want to show you, one more video. I also wanted to show you the music, but unfortunately the sound doesn't work. But wow, the music in Iraq is my favorite kind of music ever. Whether
Maybe
it's
you can,
Kurdish or,
sorry to interrupt, maybe you could
yeah.
copy and paste and send us the link in the chat, and then we can look it after our session.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Okay, yeah, yeah. So I have an idea for that. And when we get to that point, I will point you to a link where I can send you these things. This is Baghdad. This is my experience in Baghdad was like this. Walking down the street is like this. If you, I was about to say, if you notice, there's no sidewalk or like in British English, you say pavement. Um, and that's normal. Like, look, here's the police right here. If you do this in Germany, you will, I don't know, you go to prison or something walking down the street like this in Germany. But yeah, this is the way to do it in Iraq. You just walk down the street. Here there is pavement, but as you can see, it's kind of cluttered. Like it's cluttered with business stuff. It's cluttered maybe with people hanging around, or a lot of times the pavement is really broken and like messed up. So most of the time you're going to be walking on the street. And yeah, this is my experience in Baghdad was exactly like this, including these guys. The Baghdadi people are really friendly, a little bit, how can you say, a little not mischievous, a little mischievous, but also like really friendly, and you can just have a really good time just by walking down the street and meeting people, and yeah. This might not be directly in the center of Baghdad. It might be like more of the suburbs or something here, which is why you can have these wide uh, pavements. I wanted to show you a little bit. Here you can see the water. This is not because it rained. This is because people threw the water on the street to clean it. And as you can see, it's not as dirty as I was describing. Maybe the refuse and trash will collect in the alleyways, but out here it's pretty clean despite all the clutter of the house of the businesses and things like this. So yeah, this is your typical walking down the street in Baghdad. So I think these were all the videos I wanted to show. And now I'm going to go to the history part. Before I go to the history part, does anyone have any more questions or anything you want to say? Any reactions?
You mentioned people being a little mischievous. Was it hard to meet people as a visitor? I mean, even walking around?
No, no, the opposite, completely the opposite. Uh, I think the first place I went to in my travels was Baghdad, and I'm coming from Germany. And in Germany, you walk down the street, you will like you won't meet anyone. There's no chance of meeting anyone. You like people walk down the street and you shouldn't even like look at them really. But oh wow, in Baghdad it was so different. Like it was really shocking and I wish I could have taken advantage of it more. But at the same time, like you don't want to just start talking with some random person and then
Yeah.
you don't know like why they're talking with you exactly. But yeah, in Baghdad, it's totally the opposite. Like you'll walk down the street, and if you wanted to make friends, you will make friends. Like even one block, like people will they'll want to meet you. They'll say like, "Where are you from?" in English if they know English. If you know Arabic, then they'll go crazy. They'll like love you. Um, and even if they don't know English, I don't know if they do this anymore, but it used to be people will say, like not just in Baghdad, but in general in the Middle East, the only thing people knew how to say really was "I love you." So just imagine you walk down the street and then especially children will say, I love you," like as if you're some like amazing celebrity. It's really, it's such a different experience walking down the street, especially in Baghdad, especially like you saw people, how they were reacting to the camera
Yeah.
that would like people will react to you that way as well. But the only problem is you don't know, like it's a hard place to live, so you don't know. Maybe people want money, or they think like I bought some donar or like sandwich or something, very close to my hotel. And somehow I got three people's phone numbers, like just by buying this sandwich. And then they started talking with me, and some just wanted to practice their English or just to be like to talk with a German person and just like talk with a foreign person. And then there was like one guy, I got the feeling maybe he wanted something from me, but I didn't know what. I didn't want to find out. So like, yeah, you can't just trust people, but you can definitely make friends very quickly.
Amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. Like what you see on the news, you see these scenes of either tragedy or brutality, or just you see a city with smoke rising. What you don't see is these like is going to the falafel store or the sandwich place and getting three people's phone numbers and just joking around, like just buying a sandwich, like, and that's just a common experience in a place like this. So, yeah, and this is why I wanted to talk about this because you just don't see that on the news. They don't show anything like that about the real people that live there. Speaking of real people, I just want to show a few pictures. I really don't think this is the style anymore because styles change so quickly. But this was the style, like every guy in Baghdad that I met looked like this. This is like every single guy was like this, like this. Iraqi people have this thing about hair, and they go all the way and beyond with their hair. And I thought it was just so cool because people are so boring and conservative in Europe. I don't know about the US anymore, but in Europe, like they just have like one hair and everyone has the same hair. But in Baghdad, they know that they have hair. They can do something with their hair. They can do interesting things. So you'll see this kind of stuff all the time in Baghdad. I don't know what the style is anymore, but I'm sure it's just as interesting and just as wild. And what I saw was even more than this kind of stuff. Like people will dye their hair, people will do, but the style was like straight up, like eraser top, something like that. Yeah, like this kind of stuff. Um, and this, I love this about Baghdad. They really, it's like Paris or something. They really care about fashion, and they have their own style. They're not affected as much by the Western styles for whatever reason. But yeah, like you're just some random guy, like making coffee or making tea or something in the what is this? In a train, I think. And he also has this hair. Like it's not just like these hipster kind of people. But yeah, so you can see a little bit of the style here. And I think that's all I wanted to talk about when it came to, oh, no, of course not. There's also the women's style. So I wanted to talk a little, now I want to go back to like the more ancient times. And this actually isn't from ancient times. This is maybe from like before Western, before the British took Iraq. This is like what the normal style was. I think maybe Sabah and Rosalind, maybe Sonar, you know about this style. Obviously, this woman wouldn't have tattooed this, but this is supposed to be like tattoos. And people, especially women, definitely more like women, would tattoo their faces a lot in Baghdad and other places too. But this used to be the style to have this kind of face. I believe this is a fashion show in Baghdad, and they want to come back to their roots. They're now proud of their roots, which is really cool to see. Maybe I can get a little bit closer. You can see the style, and they're mimicking this tattoo style that not just I want to say Bedo. I'm trying to remember, like Bedouin, like nomadic people, not just these desert people had, but also just the normal people, the normal women in Baghdad had this really interesting thing where they would tattoo their faces. Um, Let me see. I think I saved a couple more photos. Yeah, yeah. So these are actually tattoos, and this is what I saw when I saw things in Baghdad. When I saw old women in Baghdad, some of them still had these facial tattoos. Like they're like the last ones, basically, that have this. And I'm sure they all like mean different things. But I just think it's so cool because when we think of tattoos, we think of maybe hipsters and if they have like tattoos on their face, maybe they're trying to be really like hard and like no one's going to hire them at Starbucks. And but you see like these really high class women were also tattooing their faces with these marks, and it gave them a kind of made them more like high class to do this. And there was one more photo I wanted to show. Aha, yes. And I don't know if the fashion has changed, but this was like your typical woman in Baghdad, looked like this. I believe this is also from a fashion show in Baghdad. But you have this, what do you call this? Um, I don't know. I'm not a woman. I don't know about makeup. But kohl, you have kohl here. And then they make their lips like really strong with the lipstick, and they make their face really white, like much like very exaggerated. And then the rest of the features, including their clothes and maybe nails, their hair is just like really black. So you have this really interesting mix of red, white, and black. And this was the style when I was there, especially like if you went to the mall or something like that.
Very sort of
Uh,
goth looking, I think they call it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, in our eyes, this
yeah.
is very gothic. Yeah, yeah, this is like a mall teenager or something. Um, I know
I was
exactly what
wondering.
you mean.
I was wondering how you found transportation. Is there a good public transit system and that sort of thing, or?
Oh, that's a great question. There is definitely not a public transportation system in Baghdad, and which is insane because, well, actually, it's not insane. It's those of you who live in Los Angeles, you can definitely like there is, especially in Santa Monica, there is a public transportation system, but it's not great. And it sometimes in a lot of places it feels like there is no public transportation system, which is pretty insane because it's a huge city and there's so many people and everything depends on the roads everything. And Baghdad is the same. Everything depends on the roads, and everything is designed for cars. But yeah, there's not any public transportation. And what there is, of course, there's taxis everywhere. There's like normal taxis, but then there's also, I only know the Turkish word for this, dolmuş, or in Russian, Maritrushka, like a van, a van. There's like a van. And these vans are kind of like mini buses that they have a route sometimes. And they like if you know where, you can just like flag one on the side of the road and it will come to you. And then of course like when I went, I had my friends and they had cars. So this was how I got around. But the normal way would be this van, I guess. Maybe in Baghdad they would say van. They use a lot of American words for these kind of things. So yeah, if you see a van, you just don't go like this, and then you say, I want to go to I don't know, let's say the city center. And then they would say, okay, yeah, I'm going there. And then you can ask them like, how much will it cost? And they'll tell you. And then if you decide to go with them, you go. And it's probably really cheap, maybe like $1, something like that. This is what I did in Lebanon all the time. And it was actually better than the bus system because these little mini buses or vans, you would see them all the time. So you could just go on the street and any time of day, you just like wave one down after maybe waiting 5 minutes, and you just go in. And now you're not only taking something that's going to go directly there or almost directly there, but you get it right away. So it sounds like not as good because it's not a government public transportation system, but it actually works better because you can just anytime you want, you can just go out there. You don't need to know the bus schedule or like the special card to buy on the bus or something like that. So yeah,
That's
it works
interesting.
pretty well, I think.
How about inner city, within Iraq, trains or buses or whatever?
So there's something called the garage. And the garage is like huge parking lots, or maybe under an overpass, like under a bridge. And there's different garages in each city. Baghdad probably has 100 different garages, but in a smaller city, there might be like three, or when I lived in Lebanon, there was the Kola garage, there was the whatever garage. And when you go to these places, it's full of these minibuses. And then what these people are doing is they're calling out, like, they'll say, like, okay, there's a city in Iraq called Karbala. So there might be people going Karbala, 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 like for like hours. But the whole garage has all these people, and you just find the one that is calling something close to where you're going to, and then you say, okay, how much does it cost? And then you just go once the van fills up, and you don't know when the van is going to fill up. Maybe it'll take an hour, maybe it'll be 5 minutes, but you just wait in the van and you just sit there. And of course, you're going to meet everyone and talk with everyone and laugh and joke while you're waiting, and then that continues while you're and you have like best friends by the time you get to your destination.
Thank you.
So yeah, yeah. So yeah, I'm sure there's trains. I know there's a train in Baghdad, but that's not the normal way at all. The normal way is these the same kind of minibuses, but they go between the cities instead of going between neighborhoods. All right. Wow, the time is really going. So, I made a website. I made a website for myself, but also I made a website for this lecture, which is right here. And so this is going to be about Baghdad, and there is no way, no chance that I'm going to talk about all of the history of Baghdad, but I will show you some highlights so you'll get some history, so you'll have some understanding. And I'm really glad that we spoke about the culture a little bit first, because now you can kind of picture it more. Obviously, the Baghdad of the 700s is going to be different than the Baghdad of the 1700s, which is different than the Baghdad of now. But before Baghdad was westernized, you still had a lot of this old culture that would have been similar to those times. So you have like the old world, and then I just showed you all the modern stuff. And the modern stuff is a little bit similar to what we're used to. So when we learn about the history, you can kind of already imagine it. Just imagine the streets, but without the cars. Imagine horses instead, like things like that. So yeah. Oh, I wanted to talk. Someone mentioned Babylon, and that is a misconception about Baghdad. Babylon was close to Baghdad, but Babylon and Baghdad were two different things, which is people mix it up because people, even hundreds of years ago, a lot of Europeans were also mixing this up. They also thought that Baghdad was Babylon before. And it actually wasn't. Baghdad is a different thing. Maybe I can show you on the map. Oh, not Gmail. Um, Actually, one of the times I took one of these little minibus things was going to the ruins of Babylon from Baghdad, and it took a long time. It took maybe 2 hours or something like that. It's relatively close, like, but it's not the same. So here we have Baghdad, and Babylon doesn't exist anymore, by the way. There is no, it's only ruins now, and most of those ruins are under the ground too. But it is very close to this Hilla place. So here we have Babylon, and here we have Hilla. And if I can show the rivers, maybe if I do the satellite view, we can see better. So both were created for like in the same kind of area for the same kind of reasons. This river, this is the Euphrates. So if you remember anything from Middle Eastern history from elementary school, there's the Tigris and the Euphrates. And the Tigris is what Baghdad is on. The Euphrates is what Babylon was on. And at the time, the Euphrates didn't do this thing. It actually went right into Babylon in the same way that the Tigris does now for Baghdad. So it's like Baghdad is kind of the child of Babylon, and also between the two rivers, just as Babylon was, but it's not in the same exact location. And the history isn't that there was Babylon and then Babylon became Baghdad. That didn't happen at all. What's really, really interesting about Baghdad is it was a planned city. It didn't grow naturally at all. And let's see if I can find a map or any picture of this. Okay, so this is kind of no one knows what it actually looked like because, as someone mentioned before, there were the Mongols and they destroyed the entire city completely. But this was like based on descriptions, it was probably like this. And this was not like naturally built at all. They built it all in like what, like 2 years or really, really fast. They built it, and it was this really interesting design where you have the uh, let's just say the caliph, like the king's palace here, and then this like all of this land, like park, like just completely flat kind of garden park area. And then you have everyone living within these walls. And if you know anything about history, walls are extremely important if you want to be safe. If you want to like go to sleep and wake up the next morning without problems, you should probably do that within some walls. So everyone lived in the beginning, everyone lived within these walls, and then the caliph, the um, you can call him like kind of the king, not just of Baghdad, but of the entire Islamic empire, like caliphate. This is where he decided to live, was he built this palace. And it's this really interesting, like artificial planned city. And I believe, yeah, this is from the video game of Assassin's Creed. They recreated this old Baghdad. They recreated it at a time when the city went beyond the walls, but you still have the same idea here. You have the palace, the gardens, and then you have the city within the walls, and it's actually rings. It's not just one like block of a city in a wall, and each ring, like you have to go through, you could say like checkpoints, and each ring is a different wall, and you have to be a certain kind of citizen to get to the next ring. There's this really interesting system. It's kind of like almost like a fantasy novel or something. Um, okay, I think this is a good picture for how I'm going to describe how it was created. So there's a lot of history behind this, and I wish I had time to get into it because it's really interesting. if you go to the website later, you can learn. I wrote about all this history, but basically there was a new caliph, a new caliphate, and this caliphate, just think of it like a Islamic empire. And I don't know if I have a picture of the map. If I do, if I see it, I'll show you. But it was huge. Think of like the size of the Roman Empire, something like that. But for the Middle East, not for the Mediterranean. And when they made this huge empire, in the beginning, Damascus was the center of this empire, and Damascus was a naturally created city. It's like 10,000 years old or something, but because of the Caliph, he was a new system, and he wanted everything to be new, so he wouldn't have problems with the old guard, basically. So he made a new city, and this city was Baghdad, and he wanted to basically put it in the middle of the empire. So Baghdad at that time was just the middle of this huge empire that was heavily influenced by the West, by the East, like by what's now Iran and these areas. And he did this, he made the city with like mathematics, and also with the help of this I forgot his name, but this Jewish astrologer. And they created, so the city was created through like astrology and geometry, and it's this like sacred geometry, and it's also between the two rivers. It was just a really good setup for them. And what they did is they took basically tar, and they put cotton in the tar, and they walked they around the whole perimeter, or what would be the perimeter. And they put these cotton balls, and then they did the same thing, and they made the whole outline of the city with these tar cotton balls. And then they lit the whole thing on fire. And this created a dark mark on the ground. And from that, that was like the city plan. It was just like planned out on the ground like that. And then they built their city. And with planned cities, you can build them really fast. Like you have an idea of what it should be. Oh, I think this is a picture. I don't think I can make it bigger though. Let's see. Maybe this way. Yeah. So here you have this, this was the empire or the caliphate. And Baghdad is right here somewhere. Here's Tikrit. Okay, so Baghdad was here. And then you have all the way going into Afghanistan over here, all the way going, including part of Italy, which now is Sicily over here, like all the way into Libya to Algeria over here, all of Saudi Arabia. So, and it was far away enough from the Byzantines, which were like the Romans basically, that they were safe from any Byzantines trying to attack them. But they were also close enough that they could have like relations with other empires as well. So this is why Baghdad is where it is. And yeah, one interesting thing you might see if you go to the website, I also have all the different rulers of the different times, and most of these are shown as coins, and that's because it was like very forbidden to use images. So you just have coins to show that these uh, caliphs or like emperors existed.
And when was Baghdad founded?
So let's see. I have all this history. I believe this was all like before. Okay, yeah, yeah. So Baghdad was created by this guy Al-Mansur, and it was when he became the caliph. And it was created, I believe. Okay, in oh yeah, this date, everyone knows the date because it was the date given by the Jewish astrologer. So it was July 30th, 762. So I don't know if the Jewish astrologer did a great job because a lot of terrible things have happened in Baghdad. But at the same time, Baghdad continues and is still the capital of Iraq. So I don't know. I don't know. It's interesting, but yeah, it was it like the you could say the like the shovel was first dug or the first brick was put on July 30th, 762. And then it was built very, very quickly, maybe in 5 years, 2 years, something like this.
A question
Something
then,
that,
as
yeah.
far as that circular design, was
Mhm.
that is that like unique? Meaning, were there any other cities made like that before
Yeah,
7?
it's really interesting. I'd never seen that before, but upon researching for this, I did find other cities that did the
Okay.
same thing. Some of them still exist. Some of them you can only see from like a satellite or airplane. You can see the outline of there used to be something like that. But I wouldn't say it was common, but
Mm.
it did exist. I don't know if Baghdad was the first one to do it or not. But what is so interesting is this like you have the Sultan's palace right in the middle. And then you have this like huge green space between the people and him. It's just such an interesting
But then it
layout.
was like all symbolic, right? In terms of whatever geomancy or like the geography and the meaning of it. Like you mentioned, the date was important. The geometry was
Exactly.
important too, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it pointed towards the how can I say? It pointed towards Mecca. So
Wow.
like every single detail was planned. Like it was just I think of course there was probably some little village or something there before, but it was basically just empty land and they just planned it and they really wanted to make it perfect.
Yeah.
So they thought of every detail.
So can you
Um,
comment on the Islamic sort of respect for Euclid and how they carried Euclidean teaching forward? Did you ever get into
I
that?
I don't know what
Okay.
Euclid is.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
sorry.
well, there's this Greek Euclid tradition going into, right, Islamic culture and history I've been learning about. And then
Hmm.
it's pretty fascinating because it would have otherwise been lost. And then, of course, right, there's a rich history that is not known about Islam mathematicians and some really famous and prominent ones. But I'm listening to Will Durant's Age of Faith, and it's been pretty fascinating. I've been getting bogged down though because in the quote dark ages, there's just so much history packed in there that it's now just become a little too repetitive for me. But this is
Yeah,
a
that
complete
happens.
surprise. This is a complete surprise to me. This circular design. I mean, it's
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's I bought a PlayStation for like $100 just because I wanted to see Baghdad in the like was it really like that? Like I was just got fascinated by it. So I bought this and I bought the game just to see Baghdad in this time because there's nothing left of it now. There's not even like
uh,
maybe there's like one tiny brick somewhere, but it's completely gone. The whole layout, the whole everything. It's just
wow.
all like people know about it from reading about it, but they don't yeah, but this is what people thought it should have looked like. And there's still the plans and things like that. So it blew my mind the way it was built, the way it looked. I had no idea also. And by the way, you said something about things become repetitive in these so-called dark ages. This happens with me too, and it will happen with Baghdad too. I luckily we can just skip past that. But yeah, Baghdad has its own dark ages, and it just becomes okay. There was this warlord, then this one, and it's everyone was sad, and everything was broken forever. Yeah, it's interesting how there's periods like that. But
Yes.
Washington, I wanted to
yeah,
say
go
that
ahead. Go ahead.
Washington, D.C. was also a planned city, and
Hmm.
it was built on a circular plan by a French architect. I think it was Enfant. And he made the streets come out from the center, so they're radial streets. And this makes it extremely difficult these days to navigate Washington, D.C., because a lot of the most important streets are coming out from the center of the city out in a radial direction, like radiuses.
Huh. Yeah, I wonder. I'm sure, yeah, if this had survived, it'd probably be a similar story to that. Yeah. Yeah, I also lived in a planned city in Kazakhstan, which was really interesting. It's a different feeling when you lived in a planned city. Um, Things don't quite work, things aren't quite natural, but they are interesting. So I wonder how the people felt living in the circle pattern here. Okay, so I'm supposed to end in almost 10 minutes, and I barely touched upon the history. I think what I want to do is I want to just make a part two of this. I was going to say that the next lecture that I'm going to give was going to be about the people of Anatolia and Syria and Iraq. That'll be another time. Because the history is just amazing, and there's no way I can tell the history of Baghdad in 10 minutes. Um, so I will talk a little bit about the very beginning history and the foundation, and then we will go on to all kinds of stuff like the Golden Age and things like that. And I will also give you my website, so you can just check it all out yourself. There's a lot. Like if you go here, there's a lot written about these things. But I felt like these were the most important things to allow you to understand what the history of Baghdad is. But for the Middle East, Baghdad is one of the newest cities, I think, in the Middle East. It was, what was it, 762 or something? It was created. And that's really new. Like Erbil is maybe 8,000 years old. Damascus, the same. Aleppo, the same. But Baghdad is not one of these ancient cities that grew naturally. Like it was just completely planned, completely artificially. And one thing that I really wanted to get to was why Baghdad was created in the first place, the story about it. And it was basically there was this guy Al Mansur, and he chose to go to make something totally different because he was trying to rule in not Damascus, but a different city called Kufa here, Kufa, which is a little bit close to Baghdad. And a lot of these Persian people, which are like Iranian people, they wanted to worship him as a god, and they actually rioted in the streets because they wanted to worship him as a god. And he refused. He said, "No, that's completely crazy. Like only God is God, especially in Islam. You don't do that kind of stuff." And then they rioted again because they're angry at him for not allowing them to worship him as a god. And he just he thought, okay, this is not working out in Kufa. Like we need something new. Like everything's getting broken. And this was the reason why Baghdad was created in the first place, which I think is a really interesting story. And there's a lot more backstory to that as well, which you can see on the website. But before I leave, I do want to go to so the website has two sections. There's the timeline, which is really in depth, and here you have like the different caliphates, the rulers, things like that. Click everything that you see, maybe something will happen. And then there's also this section of the peoples of Baghdad, which is something that I didn't really get into as much as I wanted to. But I do want to say, here's a really fast way to talk about the history. So this was the population of Baghdad, and this is like the golden age here, when it was 1.2 million people. It was the capital of the caliphate. It was amazing poetry and really 1001 Nights stories all come from Baghdad and this kind of thing. But then there was the Mongol sack, which really hit Baghdad hard, and it never really was the same after that. And then there was also an even worse sack that happened by people after the Mongols, by this guy named Timur or Timurland. And he really destroyed and killed everyone in the city, basically. And it took a long time for Baghdad to recover. There were also floods. Baghdad went through many, many bad things as well. But somehow, I don't know how, for a while it was just this like little village. It got reduced to this tiny broken shell of what it used to be. But at some point, it like right around here, this was right towards the end of the Ottoman Empire. It really started to pick up in population as a cultural center. And you can see here, it went from, I don't know, what is this? It went from less than maybe like 70,000 people up until now. This says 6.4 million, but I believe Baghdad is more like 8 million people, something like that now. So within about 100 years, which is just really intense. Um, and here, if you go to this part, you can see all like information about all the different kinds of people, the Kurds, Turkmen. There's three major ethnicities in Iraq. One is the Arabs, of course, another is the Kurds, and the third one is the Turkmen, who are not Turkish and they're not from Turkmenistan. There's something a little bit different, and they're deep within the history of Baghdad as well. You also have Assyrian people, many different kinds of Christian people, Armenians, a very, very old kind of Christian people, very old, that are basically stemming from when the Jews were Christians, people called the Mandeans, who are fascinating. And although they look like, I don't know, you wouldn't imagine they're like educated inventors and things like that. But actually, these guys are really smart a lot of times, and and they still do a lot of make inventions, or they're scientists or things like that. There's actually a Palestinian population in Baghdad as well. Wow, I can go on and on and on about these things. Here you can see something really important that you'll get a sense of why it's like that, which is the Shia-Sunni divide. It's really important, especially nowadays, but actually it's always been important in Baghdad history. If you read the timeline, or we'll talk about it next time as well. But I wanted to get to something about the perception of Iraq. So, what we know of Iraq normally is from the news, I think, from especially if you're American, like the American involvement in Iraq, which was war. And then once that involvement stopped, like we don't know anything about Iraq anymore or about Baghdad anymore. So I wanted to show what's changed since then. So here's a chart of basically the this is a chart of what do you call this? Mortality of people killed in war, basically. And each one of these lines is a month. So you have 2003 with the American invasion. Then everyone goes crazy. The Shias and Sunnis just start killing each other, and the Americans can't stop them. And so you get this huge surge of violence, mostly between Shia and Sunni. It's just madness. It's just madness, and there's no law and there's no order, and it makes a lot of violence. And then things kind of calmed down a bit, and then there was ISIS after that. ISIS never really went into Baghdad, but still there was a lot of ISIS stuff going on in Iraq and in Baghdad in general. This is the big one is Iraq. The lower one here, like, is Baghdad. And then things kind of just became better. It just got better. And they actually, whoever, this website, I used to go to it all the time. What was it called? Oh, Iraq Body Count. I think they were created when there was WikiLeaks and they got this information and they made a website called Iraq Body Count. And then for years and years, they just kept track of the violence in Iraq. And then they just stopped keeping track of it, I guess, around this year, because it just stopped. There's just this conflict, this violence, it's now become mostly under control. Even when I went in 2022, it was basically stopped, although no one knew if it would start again or not. And hopefully, or in Arabic, you say, inshallah, hopefully, if the God wills it, it won't start again. And I don't see it starting again, at least for now. I think Baghdad is entering a period of peace and prosperity, I hope. So this is so important because when we think of Baghdad, we think it's not safe, we think it's war and things like that. But I've heard even now the checkpoints are being dismantled, like, meaning basically it's becoming a normal city where people just walk around and do normal people stuff. I found this population map really interesting. So this is like the real population situation right now, and these smaller dots are the projected population. I have no idea why Iraq is just shooting up like that, but it is interesting to see that by 2050, Iraq supposedly will have a higher population than France will. But at the moment, no. At the moment, they're around the population of maybe South Korea, something like that, Saudi Arabia. Um, this is the life expectancy in Iraq. So again, you might not you might expect it a little bit more towards what Nigeria has, which is like 55 years old. But Iraq is very similar to Brazil, or when I was looking at these stats, it was always similar to around like Brazil or India, something like that. So it's 72 years, and I'm sure it's going to go up. It seems to be getting better each year. This is the literacy of Iraq. It's 86%. I think I was looking at it in 1980 and it was much less, and like maybe 60%. So the literacy rate is skyrocketing in Iraq, much higher than Pakistan, around Brazil's literacy. What is this? Oh, so I found this really interesting because Iraq is, and Baghdad especially, is a very dry country. Not everywhere, but mostly it is. And still, they have access to maybe you could say like indoor plumbing. Like they have access to water, which is different than you would imagine. You would imagine like villages having a well and the well has not clean water, getting water from the river. But actually, no. Iraq is very similar to the US when it comes to the drinking water. Although you wouldn't want to drink water from the tap in Iraq. Definitely not. You would want to get it from a water bottle. But still, you have the access to that water. And if you get it from the tap, it probably won't make you sick. It would probably make us sick, but it probably wouldn't make a modern, like a native Baghdadi sick, but it's still maybe polluted. Like you wouldn't want to actually do that. Iraq has a really, it's very close to Vietnam in terms of its access to the internet. And this, I'm not surprised because Baghdad has a huge cultural impact on the Arab world. Not exactly Iraq, but Baghdad especially. Like it's like again, I likened it to Paris, and I think it is kind of similar when it comes to music, fashion, things like that. Baghdad is where a lot of that stuff comes from in the Arab world. And it's usually the best, like the best music, the best food, the best fashion. In my opinion, anyway, it's coming from Baghdad. But it's very close. It's not that like look if you look at India, India's maybe about 50% of the people use the internet. In Baghdad, no, it's getting towards 90%. So very similar to Vietnam. Um, and this is actually good. Like the better. So in Brazil, the extreme poverty is 3%. In Baghdad, it's 0.5%. Um, yeah, I'm not so sure about this graph. I have some problems with it, but still, it shows you that it's not this backwards country of I don't know of goat herders, and they're just like killing each other all the time for like in blood feuds. Like it's actually no, it's a real country, kind of like the video we saw in the beginning, like this 1950s video. Maybe now it's actually getting to that point a little bit where it's actually becoming, especially Baghdad, becoming like a modern city. And yeah, these stats go on. This is malnutrition in the year 2000, or malnutrition for children that affected them in a permanent way. So it was almost 30% in 2000. Despite the wars, despite everything, it's now getting down to 10%, which is coming close to the US and is even better than Saudi Arabia. So yeah, and there's all kinds of other stats and things like this on the website. But it seems like, unfortunately, my time is up, which is crazy. You have no idea. I was so worried that I want to make the screen not shared. Let's see. Okay. I was so worried that I wouldn't have enough things to say. And I didn't even talk about the history at all. That was like my main thing. But I hope you know a little bit more about Baghdad now. I will definitely do a part two. Let me ask you guys, you're right in front of me. Let me just ask you, When is good for you? If I do it in 2 weeks or in 1 month from now? What do you think is better for you for a part two of Baghdad?
I say keep the momentum. 2 weeks is fine. But if you want to take a break and do it next month, I'm fine with that too.
Oh, no, no, I want to do it right now. I want to just keep going. Like, in two
For me,
minutes, not 2 weeks. Yeah,
1 month.
1 month. Okay. Anyone else? Ines?
1 month too for me.
One,
Thank you.
1 month? Yeah, this is fine. If it's 1 month, if it's 2 weeks, it's no makes no difference to me. So yeah. Okay, let's just say 1 month because those of you who want 2 weeks, hopefully you can also make it in 1 month as well. So let's say around a month from now. Now the question is, how do I contact you all about this? How did you find this? I put this in different places. So I put it on the website Intellect, but also I put it like on my Substack, things like that. How did you find me?
I got it on Intellect.
I
Yeah,
found
okay.
Intellect as well.
I got it on
Aha.
Substack. I got it on Substack.
Okay, yeah, but I know you, so I can just tell you whatever. And okay, so is there anyone who only knows me from Substack? Okay. Okay, so Intellect is the way to do it. I'm new to this website. Can you follow me or anything like this? No? Actually, I think there might be a way that it will show me how to contact you. I think there's like a list that if I go to the right options, it'll show me. But let me put also my website. Um, so this is my website here. You can copy it and paste it somewhere. It's zachariahhopkins.com. And with this website, you can, number one, you can contact me. And also you can go to that Baghdad website and look at it all. For sure, in these talks, I'm not going to talk about all the history. So if you're interested in more history and getting the names and things like that, just go to the website. And also, if you have any questions, you can always email me. Yeah, don't be shy at all. So yeah, I will try to contact you again through this Intellect. Maybe they have a spreadsheet of your contacts or something. But I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining, and I'm really, really happy. I wish I could just keep going. Really, I could go another 5 hours like about all this kind of stuff. So thank you so much for those who came, and especially for those who participated, and like really. It was really cool. This is my first time doing something like this, and I really enjoyed it. So before I go, does anyone have any questions or comments or anything?
Well, I just want to say thank you so much. It was really interesting, and I loved all the visual aspects that really helped me to understand it. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I mean, you were a first-time presenter, but I'm a first-time participator, so I didn't know what to expect. I thought you did great.
Yeah, well, it worked out. It worked out
Yeah.
really well this way. Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, all of you, and some of you I will be seeing very soon, and others, inshallah, hopefully in 1 month. All
Okay,
right.
thank
Take care,
Thank
everyone.
you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.